Hello, my most amazing artist. I hope you are having an awesome day today. Welcome to week 2 of our Ming Dynasty Blossom project. Last week, we practiced painting tints and shades, using white to create tints and using black to create shades. And this is the background for our artwork. And today we're gonna learn a really cool technique called blow painting. And this is what it's gonna kind of look like. This is just a practice that I've done. And what you're going to need to do this is you could do it with India ink. You just got to be super careful with the India ink because it does get very, very messy and it will stain your clothes. So just be super careful if you have that available. It's a good material to use for this. However, you definitely don't need that. What I have here is some watered down black tempera paint. I just added a little bit of black tempera paint in there and I put some water, mixed it up, and it works exactly the same as India ink. I do have some just regular water here. It's a little bit dirty, but it's fine. It's because I've been practicing this. And I do have a paintbrush for the paint technique. I'm going to show you how to do it both with India ink and with a watered down paint. You could also do it with black watercolor paint if you have that as well. And this is called a blow painting, so we're going to be using our breath to blow our paint in different directions. And to do that, we are going to use a straw. If you don't have a straw at home, that's totally fine. You could just do it without the straw. Just be careful. It's going to be a little bit harder. The straw is great because it helps us point the paint in the direction that we want it to go in. However, if you don't have any of these materials at home, then don't you worry. You can just use crayons or markers. Oil pastels even would work. And you can just draw your tree onto your background that we made last time. If you don't have a straw but you have paint and a paintbrush, then maybe you could just paint your tree onto your background. Totally up to you and the materials that you have at home. We are going to use the background in just a second, but I think it's really important to practice this technique first. So here's a couple practices I have. I am going to show you on one side of this paper the India ink and the other side with watered down paint. Even though this is a practice paper, I am going to write my name on it. So then my name is on the back, and then I will flip it over and I'm ready to start. So on this side, we'll start with the India ink and we just gotta twist it up. And it comes with a little dropper, so to get more ink, you just twist it back down in there and squeeze the top, and then more ink will come into that dropper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some ink right down here at the bottom, and I wanna make a little blob right at the bottom. And it is going to drip off of your paper, and that's fine. That's why we have a messy mat. And once I have a little pool of ink down here, I am going to take my straw and I'm going to start blowing upwards. Being careful not to touch my straw to my paper. My straw is just hovering above my paper. It's not touching my paper, because if we touch it, then we might accidentally suck this ink into our straw and then it will go into our mouth, and we do not want that. So do not touch your straw to your paper. Just hover above where you want your branches to be. And I've run out of ink because it kind of spilled on my messy mat here. So let me grab some more and I'll try to pull it up a little bit just to get a head start. And then I'll take my straw and blow. This is a really fun technique because the ink or the paint will just kind of go wherever it wants to go. Now you can kind of point it in the right direction that you want it to go, but it might go the opposite way. Just really depends. Now this is just the start of my tree. So I am going to use some more ink, and I'm going to add some little areas, like a little triangle right here off the side. And that's going to get a head start for me to hover my straw above the ink pool that I just put down and blow. So there's another branch, and I will just keep on adding these branches, just putting little pools of ink down and blowing in the direction that I would like it to go in. So that is the India ink. India ink is great because it's very thin, so it's very easy to blow out onto your paper. Now let's do our paint, our watered down paint. This is a little bit more thick than the ink. That's why we've watered it down, so then it would be easier to blow across our paper. And that's also why I have water here to kind of thin out any areas that are being kind of difficult. So let me grab some paint here, and just like we started down at the bottom of our paper over here, I'm just gonna start with a little pool, and I think I want to add some water to it because it's kind of thick, so I'll just water it down a little bit. And once I have a little pool down here, I will do the same exact thing that I did over on the ink side. Now, like I said, the paint is a lot more thick, so it's going to be a little bit harder to blow across your paper. But we'll just add a little bit of water where we want a branch to be, and then we will blow. Are you going to touch your straw to your paper? Yeah, I hope not, because I don't want you to get ink or paint into your mouth today. So please make sure, that's very important while doing this technique. We're not touching the straw on our paper. We're just hovering above where we are about to create a new branch. So let me put some more here, and I'm just doing a combination of my paint mixture and a little bit of water because I'd like a branch to go in this direction. So I made a pool that was going up towards that direction, and now I will blow. Okay, so those are the two different materials that you can use. And like I said, guys, if you don't have paint or any of this crazy stuff, then you can just draw your tree or your branches onto your background. Okay, so I think I've had enough practice now. I'm gonna set this someplace to dry, and it's actually a pretty cool work of art on its own. I'm going to move on to my final paper, my final background that I painted last week. And what I'm gonna do is the same exact thing. I think my material of choice is going to be this black India ink, but of course you guys know you have some options with this. And what I'm gonna do for my final is the same exact thing that I did for my practice. The only difference is that I'm not gonna make two trees here. I'm just gonna make one tree right here in the center, and I'm gonna blow my branches up in any direction that I want to. You can even go off of the paper if you want to. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same exact thing, starting with a little puddle down here at the bottom and blowing my ink upwards, adding ink where I want some branches to be, and blowing with my straw in that same direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back to show you what mine looks like. So I think I'm happy with that. We are mainly focused, when we do it on our final, we're mainly focused on the top half of our picture, because down here at the bottom, we're gonna be covering this part up anyways a little bit later on in this project. And we are gonna be creating one of those porcelain vases out of paper to add down here. So whatever your tree looks like down here, mine looks a little bit strange. We're not too worried about it because we're gonna cover this part up anyways. We are mainly focused on the top portion of our branches and trying to get our branches to go in different directions out towards the edges of our paper. So I need to let this dry before I can work on it, and next week we'll start adding our vase down here at the bottom. I hope you guys have a lot of fun learning about this new technique, and hopefully you're able to do it at home. But like I said earlier, if you aren't, then you can use whatever materials you do have. I can't wait to see how your tree branches turn out. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.